What were some of the other influences that you all looked toward to emulate when you were designing your culture? Kind of a question to...
You know what's cool, Teri, is that I could listen to these two go for a long time. Like this is a topic that obviously everybody up here is pretty passionate about, and so I think you look for examples, and the joy of a room like this one is there's 50 stories out there as well where I learn from them all the time. Here's a company that I look to for inspiration, and I think they're on hard times right now, and so it's an example of how quickly culture can fade. But I think, look at one of the great companies of all time, HP, founded by two guys, massive innovators, who built a brand that if you think about how much that brand still means to everyday life in the United States and around the world, it's spectacular. Their innovation track record over the last 5, 10, 15 years maybe hasn't been as great as they want it to be. But for 30, 40 years, this was a company that had a core set of values about how they collaborated and worked together, that was growing at incredible clips, was innovating in a way that impacted the entire world. Like, you could do all of it. And to me, the story of HP, even though there's been some hard times recently, the story of HP is an incredible story of anybody who tells you you have to trade being a good human being in order to grow really fast and innovate in the tech space, just doesn't know. It's wrong. So that's one for me. And it's super interesting to me when they make decisions about hiring their next CEO, and I don't know Meg Whitman at all, but every company that makes these decisions, Microsoft just had to go through a new CEO decision, is are they hiring people who understand the essence of what made that company great at the outset? And if they're doing that, I'll bet on that CEO and that company as they go forward through whatever turnarounds they have to go through.
Yeah. I'll give you two examples of technology companies, just being a technology company that have made a big impact actually in certain very specific ways. One of the 5 values for us is transparency, that we put up on the wall. I believe it deeply that even if you're going to swing in one direction or another, like swing too far in terms of transparency. And every single week for us, we put up all of the information for our companies in our weekly Around the Porch with our full team and talk about the good and the bad. We use a surveying tool every single week to be able to ask for different questions of our employees. We get anonymous feedback, and we just put the feedback up in front of the company. And so sometimes we get blasted for not doing this well, or for taking away these snacks, or for whatever it might be. But if you put it up on the wall and there's like real stuff there about things we're not doing a good job of, it forces you as the leader to be to call it out, to call the truth of the situation, and then you can choose or not to choose to respond, to that. But it is actionable. I take that from stuff that Google actually had done early on. Google, I believe, I know some of the folks there, and early on, as they were building up that company, they did this for so long where weekly they would do an all hands, and they would put up all of their information, all of the metrics, all of the data. And that becomes something that is, I mean, it's just hard to do because it's going to get leaked, and some people are unhappy. But I still think it's the right thing to do because you empower your people to have knowledge and information with which to make good decisions. So that's something that they've done. Facebook is actually another company that's done, I believe, some really impressive things that they've grown as quickly as they have. And one of those things is empowerment. And they set up very small squads, very small teams, and they give them ownership, true ownership of a certain area. And they really let those people run. And they're very data focused, and they're measuring it, and that is all surfaced to everyone else in the organization. But the way that they've structured their development organization and culturally what that's created in terms of creating real ownership, even at scale, I think is just incredibly impressive, and something that we've tried to capture and instill in our group as well.
Excellent. So Scott, you mentioned Starbucks, but
yeah. So for me, I have 2 great examples,
okay.
and it's again, you guys use some technology examples. It's interesting how we gravitate.
Right.
I have 2 retail examples and 2 great local companies that have been very inspirational to us. One is Nordstrom's and the other is Costco, right? And I just I think the power of those companies is that I mention their names and I bet you all know what I'm going to say. Right? And that's the power of it, right? So they have these single unifying beliefs that kind of form the basis of their culture, their business. And as CEOs, we have so many things we're thinking about, it's complex running a business. And it's incredibly empowering to have one unifying, so Nordstrom's customer service, right? This idea of just do the right thing and do whatever you believe is right in the moment, no rules, no constraints. It's powerful, right? And the fact that they have such a strong customer service culture and they don't have anything that they call customer service training. And the culture is so strong that they don't police it because they know that people in the organization will police it. To me, that's just awesome. And then Costco, similarly, they have this, simple unifying idea that we're going to drive as much volume as we can. We're going to try to we're going to improve prices as much as we can, and we're going to keep our business model simple. We're going to take a fixed gross margin. If you go under that, you'll get in trouble as a manager, and if you go above that, you'll get in trouble. So don't screw the customer, right? Focus on driving our costs down and delivering that value back to the customer, and the business will take care of itself over time. And then going public and having the courage of their convictions to say, we're going to get pressured, and we're going to, and we, by the way, we have built moats around our business where we could take our gross margin from, I think it's 13% we could take it to 15% and no one would even notice. But again, back to that analogy with Starbucks, we'll notice, and as soon as we start compromising, that's when the culture starts to shift. And they've just been so true to it, and they've built a world-beating company, but just this very simple set of unifying values that everyone can understand and rally around and embrace.